That Tuesday evening, in the quiet hum of our kitchen, the three words hung in the air, cold and flat: "Don't touch me." No argument had preceded them, no heated exchange, nothing that might have explained their abrupt finality. They arrived room temperature, like a phrase rehearsed for weeks, polished of all emotion save a chilling, practiced precision. I had merely placed my hand on her shoulder, a gesture I'd made 10,000 times over 13 years of marriage, a simple connection as she passed me by the sink. But she stopped, her gaze dropping to my hand as if it were a foreign, unwelcome thing. My chest went hollow, not tight with anger, but profoundly empty, as if a valve had opened and drained everything within me. Okay, the single word formed in my mind, unspoken. I turned, walked to the hallway closet, retrieved the old quilt, and carried it to the living room couch. I lay there, staring at the ceiling for what felt like an hour, listening to Nina's footsteps upstairs, the distant rush of the bathroom faucet, then silence. There was no strategy in my actions, no intent to punish or make a point. She had said "don't touch me," and my body, strangely, simply complied, long before my mind could catch up or formulate a counter. There was nowhere left inside me to go to her. I was Owen, 41, a civil engineer for the county. Roads, drainage, erosion control, not glamorous, but steady, and I was good at it. Nina and I had been married for 13 years. Our son, Finn, just 9, found the mechanics of erosion endlessly fascinating. He wasn't wrong. I'd met Nina 14 years ago at a county planning meeting. She worked for a nonprofit then, sharp and organized, the kind of woman who remembered names and made you feel like the most interesting person in any room, even when you were just rambling about storm drainage permits. I'd thought her impossibly out of my league, but somehow, she hadn't seen it that way. We married that fall. Finn arrived 3 years later. For a long time, life had been precisely what we'd built: Finn on my shoulders at the park, Nina dancing, or pretending to, on Sunday nights, long drives to Clover Lake where Finn would exhaust himself skipping stones. We'd had genuinely solid years, the kind you only truly appreciate in retrospect, when you realize they weren't infinite. The shift had been subtle, beginning maybe 6 months before that Tuesday night. It crept in, much like the slow, persistent wear of erosion, imperceptible until a critical point was reached. Dinners grew quieter, not tense, but hollow. Nina spent more time scrolling on her phone, offering brief, surface smiles. My questions about her day, about movie nights, about potential weekend plans, met with single-word answers: fine. Tired. Maybe, each response was a door gently closing, and I, in my quiet way, kept walking past them, telling myself it was stress, a phase, or both. One Saturday morning, coffee in hand, I'd paused in the hallway, overhearing Nina on the phone with Donna, her college friend. Donna, twice divorced, had a way of dissecting men like faulty appliances. I'd always kept my distance from her particular brand of cynicism. Then Nina laughed, a sound that chilled my coffee, and said, I know. It's like living with furniture that expects a thank you." The words were an echo, a confirmation of the unease I'd suppressed. It was me she spoke of. I stood there, rooted, until my coffee turned cold. That night, I almost spoke, a whole sentence ready on my tongue, but Nina was already elsewhere, half smiling at a screen. I told myself I was overthinking it. 6 months into that rough patch, I still tried, in my small, quiet ways. I fixed the kitchen faucet, booked a table at the Italian place she'd once mentioned. She canceled with a headache. We rescheduled. She spent most of that rescheduled dinner scrolling. Stress, I told myself. I was good at convincing myself of things when the alternative felt unbearable. Then came that Tuesday night in March. I was at the sink, drying the last plate. Finn hummed a video game tune upstairs. The lingering scent of garlic bread filled the air. Normal. Utterly normal. Nina walked by. I put my hand on her shoulder. Don't touch me. The following morning, I was up before anyone. Coffee brewed, Finn's lunch packed, turkey, apple slices, the small note I'd slipped in since first grade. I left for work without saying good morning to Nina. It wasn't a conscious decision, just an absence. That evening, at dinner, I talked to Finn about his science project, how rivers carve canyons. His eyes shone as he explained erosion. Nina watched me from across the table. "You're quiet tonight," she said. "Long day," I replied. Her gaze returned to her phone. By Thursday, a small notebook had found a place in my jacket pocket. It wasn't part of a plan yet, but a memory of Wade Foxworth, a friend, surfaced. "If things ever go sideways, Owen, write it down. Dates, times, what was said. You think you'll remember, you won't. And a courtroom doesn't care what you felt. It cares what you can prove." I'd dismissed it then. Now, I pulled the notebook out at lunch. Tuesday, March 4th, kitchen 7:45 p.m. N stated, "Don't touch me." No argument proceeding. No provocation. Wednesday, March 5th. No conversation initiated by N. No inquiry about sleeping arrangement. Couch night 2, it felt clinical. Good. Clinical was something I could hold on to. Friday evening, with Finn at a friend's sleepover, Nina stood in the kitchen doorway, watching me read on the couch. "Are you coming to bed?" 5 seconds of silence passed. I could almost feel her calculating, trying to understand why the situation hadn't self-corrected. "I'm good here," I finally said. "Whatever," she muttered, turning away. I wrote it down. Saturday morning, she made blueberry pancakes, my favorite, a recipe she hadn't touched in years. She set a plate before me with a careful smile. I thanked her, ate them, washed my plate, and went to mow the lawn. This wasn't punishment, nor was it some dramatic revenge plot. She had sought distance, and I was granting her every inch. But to Nina, I sensed, it was meant to be temporary, a snap judgment to elicit a specific reaction. The old version of me would have been halfway through an apology. This version simply mowed the lawn. Sunday night, precisely 1 week later, Nina came into the living room at 10 o'clock. I was on the couch, notebook on my lap, a glass of water nearby. "Why are you sleeping out here?" she asked. I looked up. "You told me not to touch you." This seemed like the clearest way to respect that. Her face registered shock. "That was... I didn't mean..." For the first time in our 13 years, Nina Yates was speechless. Her mouth opened, closed. She went upstairs without another sound. I wrote it down, Sunday, March 10th, 10:15 p.m. N asked about sleeping arrangement. I referenced her statement of March 4th, and did not dispute. Returned upstairs without resolution, Monday morning, from the parking lot at work, I called Wade. "How bad?" he asked. "I don't know yet," I admitted, "but I need to know where I stand." Wade gave me a name, Frank Hamill, family law attorney. "Not flashy," Wade said. "Doesn't advertise on bus benches, but he's the one you want when things need to be properly documented." I called that afternoon. Frank could see me Thursday. Tuesday evening, Nina tried a new approach. She came home with Thai food from our favorite place on Henson Street. Candles, good plates, the whole production. I sat down, ate, told her it was good, helped clean up. As I passed her by the sink, she touched my arm. I didn't flinch, didn't pull away. I simply kept moving, as if her hand were merely a draft passing through. Her eyes followed me to the couch. "Owen, are we okay?" she asked, her voice softer than it had been in weeks. "I don't know, Nina," I replied. "Are we?" She didn't answer. I wrote it down. The sequence was clear to me now, the cold shoulder, then pancakes, then candles and a tentative touch. She was cycling through tactics, testing, trying to provoke a reaction. I wasn't responding, not out of spite, but because the emotional well within me felt truly dry. There was a difference between withdrawing to manipulate and withdrawing because there was simply nothing left to draw from. She was trying to fill a tank that had been removed from the garage entirely. And the irony was, I was meticulously recording every single attempt. Thursday, March 14th, Frank Hamill's office was paneled in wood, a relic from the late 80s. The scent of coffee hung heavy. Frank, perhaps 60, with wire-rimmed glasses and patient eyes, listened as if silence itself were billable. I handed him the notebook. He read for 3 full minutes, saying nothing. Then he looked up. "You're an engineer," he observed. "I can tell." He set the notebook down. Kansas is no fault, but patterns of behavior matter, especially in custody and property division. If she initiated the rejection of the marital relationship and you simply complied, that's not abandonment on your part. That's compliance with her stated wishes. I asked about her potentially telling a different story to others. Frank removed his glasses, cleaning them slowly. "That's exactly why you keep writing." I left with a retainer agreement and a new, heavy weight in my stomach. This was real now. I was meticulously building a record of my own marriage unraveling, one dated entry at a time. The drive home felt endless. The week after Frank's visit passed in a strange rhythm: work, drainage specs, emails, lunch at my desk, home, Finn's school stories, couch. Repeat. I wasn't waiting, wasn't plotting. I was simply existing in the space she'd created, documenting what happened within it. At one point, Nina walked past me in the kitchen as I wrote. "What is that, anyway?" she asked. "Just a journal," I told her. She watched me for a second, then walked on. I wrote that down, too. The following Saturday, Wade called, his voice cautious. His wife, Megan, had run into Donna at a social gathering. Donna, he relayed, was telling people I'd gone cold, that Nina had been reaching out, and I was shutting her down, that I'd moved to the couch and refused to come back. I sat in my truck in the driveway, engine off, hands gripping the wheel. 10 minutes passed without movement. Asterisk, she told me not to touch her. And now she's telling people I'm the one who pulled away. Asterisk, I opened the notebook. Asterisk, Saturday, March 16th, per Foxworth via his wife. D. Marsden telling mutual acquaintances that I initiated the physical and emotional withdrawal. Narrative directly contradicts documented events of March 4th. Asterisk, the anger, when it came, wasn't a roar. It was a cold, quiet seep, like ice forming in a hidden pipe, building pressure. Donna, who had 2 divorce settlements under her belt, was laying groundwork, spinning a story before the papers were even filed. And I was holding 18 days of documented receipts. This wasn't a man running. This was a man preparing. For the next 2 weeks, I watched Nina's cycle intensify, and I recorded every turn. Monday, sweet coffee waiting on the counter, a note with a tiny, drawn heart. "Have a great day." I said thanks, left for work. Tuesday, a text at lunch. "Thinking about you. Hope your day is going well." I replied, "Thanks." One word, the same energy she'd given me weeks ago. Wednesday, she reached for my hand during Finn's school concert. I let her take it, but didn't squeeze back. Her fingers tightened, then dropped. Later, in the parking lot, he played so well. He did, I agreed. She waited for more. There wasn't more. Thursday, 22 straight hours without a single word directed at me. I counted. I wrote it down. Friday, she told Finn, loud enough for me to hear from the couch, "Daddy's choosing to sleep downstairs, sweetheart." I don't know why either. My jaw tightened. I noted the exact time. Saturday morning, an explosion. "You're being so childish. Sleeping on a couch like some teenager who got his feelings hurt. You told me not to touch you." That was one time, Owen. Once. Once was enough. So, this is punishment? Making me feel invisible? I'm doing exactly what you asked. If that feels like punishment, that's something worth looking at. She slammed a cabinet door, then a drawer, rattling every glass. She stood in the middle of the kitchen, arms crossed, waiting for my reaction. I picked up the notebook from the counter, sat at the kitchen table, and wrote it all down, verbatim, while she watched. She left the room without another word. Saturday night, at 11, she came downstairs and stood at the edge of the living room, in the dark. We both knew I was awake. "I can't sleep," she whispered. "I'm sorry to hear that. Please, just come upstairs." "I can't, Nina." She stood for a full minute, then went back up. I heard her crying through the ceiling, quiet, steady, the kind that sounded real. Perhaps it was, but I no longer knew which version of her I was hearing, and that uncertainty kept me on the couch. Sunday morning, I made breakfast for Finn, eggs, toast. Nina came downstairs, and I silently made her a plate. She ate, offered a quiet thank you. I nodded. 15 minutes at the same table, wordless, yet it was the least uncomfortable morning in 3 weeks. Finn ate his eggs and recounted a documentary about underwater volcanoes. We both listened. It was fine. Just fine. Sunday afternoon, a family drive to Clover Lake. Finn skipped rocks. Nina stood close to me, not touching, but testing the distance. I didn't move toward her or away. "You used to hold my hand here," she said quietly. I offered no reply. We both watched Finn skip a stone. That evening, carrying groceries in through the side door, I heard Nina's low, urgent voice from the garage. She was on the phone with Donna. "He's not reacting to anything, Donna." I tried the candles. I tried the Thai food. I even cried in front of him. Nothing. He just writes in that notebook. I froze, bags in each hand. "What notebook?" I heard Donna ask. "I don't know what's in it. He carries it everywhere." I put the groceries down quietly, walked back out to the car, came in through the front door with deliberate noise, then sat on the couch and wrote down every word I'd just overheard. Time-stamped. Verbatim. Monday night, Finn found me on the couch. He sat on the floor beside me with his cereal bowl, a new routine. "Dad, did you and Mom have a fight?" "No, buddy. Adults just need space sometimes." He looked at me with an old wisdom that shouldn't belong to a 9-year-old. "She was crying in the car today when she picked me up from school. She didn't think I noticed." My chest cracked, a hairline fracture. I didn't let it show. Sometimes grown-ups have hard days. He pondered this. "The couch isn't good for your back, though." "It's not that bad. I could bring you my dinosaur pillow. It's really soft." I pulled him into a hug, holding him for a long time. He didn't seem to mind. Finn, through everything, was still my anchor. He noticed, he cared, he offered his best dinosaur pillow. He showed up. The following Thursday, Wade delivered a piece of information that rearranged every scene of the past month. We were at a diner. He set his coffee down, lowered his voice. I wasn't sure I should say this. Megan had been at Donna's book club the previous week. Donna, Wade explained, had been coaching Nina, step by step, push him out emotionally. Make him leave the bedroom. Once he's been out long enough, you file and claim constructive abandonment. His abandonment. You get the house. Favorable custody position. The whole thing. The diner noise faded. Just my pulse, and the coffee cooling in my cup. She's been coaching her, every moment from the past month clicked into place. The rejection on March 4th wasn't spontaneous, it was a starting gun. Her confusion about the couch wasn't real. The narratives she'd been spreading weren't careless gossip. It was a calculated sequence. Donna Marsden had drawn the blueprint. Nina had been following the steps. The Thai food, the pancakes, the hand at the sink, the crying through the ceiling, every gesture a planned move in a game she'd been coached to play. Those kitchen moments I'd seen as possibly genuine now felt scripted. The emotional breakdown? A checkpoint, not a real crack. I thought of that quiet Sunday morning with the eggs, how it had felt almost normal. Had that been a move too? Act calm. Let him see a version of normal. Make him wonder if he's overreacting. I couldn't know for sure. That was the insidious part of uncovering a play. Suddenly, you couldn't trust your own read of anything. The notebook in my jacket wasn't paranoia. It was the only honest thing left. I drove home and called Frank from the back porch. I know what's happening now, I told him, walking him through it all. Frank was silent for 10 seconds. Is Wade willing to sign a statement? I'll ask him tonight. Do that, and don't stop writing. Every entry she can't dispute is another brick in your foundation. I called Wade. He didn't hesitate. I'll write it out tonight. Megan was standing right there when Donna said it. She'll sign, too. I hung up and sat on the porch step. Stars were bright in the Topeka night. Through the kitchen window, Nina was clearing dinner dishes, looking utterly normal, just a woman washing plates. And I realized the woman I'd overheard in the garage, reporting to Donna that nothing was working, wasn't confused or frustrated. She was checking in with her coach, running the play, and asking why the projected results weren't materializing. The next day, I went back to Frank with the notes from the garage call. He read them twice. She's documenting your withdrawal for her case, he said. And you're documenting her orchestration of that withdrawal for yours. He looked up. The difference is, yours has dates. Hers has Donna Marsden. Friday night, March 22nd. I walked in the door. Nina was at the kitchen table, hands flat on the surface, looking impossibly small. No candles, no takeout. I miss you, she said, her voice cracking, her eyes already wet. That didn't sound like Donna's playbook. That sounded like Nina, the real one. The woman who'd cried before our vows, who'd held Finn for 3 hours straight through a fever, who used to fall asleep with her head on my chest, a hand over my heart. I miss you, too, I said. And I meant it. That was the part that still got to me. Every word of it was real. She stood, crossed the kitchen, and pressed her forehead against my chest. I felt her breathing, the subtle tremor in her shoulders. For 10 full seconds, we were back, both of us, in our own kitchen. 3 weeks of silence dissolved as if they'd never happened. I almost put my arms around her. Almost. Then her phone buzzed on the table. She pulled back slightly to glance at it. A text from Donna. 3 words on the preview, is he buying it? She flipped the phone face down, but I'd already seen it. The kitchen didn't change, same light, same lingering garlic bread, same tile under my feet. But something behind my ribs turned to concrete in 2 seconds flat. I need some air, I said. I walked out the back door, sat on the porch step. A March night in Topeka, cold enough to see my breath. I pulled out the notebook, my hands steady. That surprised me. Friday, March 22nd, 8:40 p.m. N expressed emotional vulnerability. Physical contact initiated by N. At 8:43 p.m., text received from D. Marsden. Is he buying it? N attempted to conceal message. Entire interaction appears coordinated. I sat there until my fingers went numb. Then I went inside, lay down on the couch, and stared at the ceiling until morning. Tuesday, April 1st, exactly 4 weeks since that moment in the kitchen. I came home from Frank Hamill's office, a manila folder in hand. Inside, 28 days of dated entries, Wade's signed statement about Megan's over here at the book club, a timeline Frank had assembled showing the full pattern. Rejection, narrative reversal, coached reconciliation attempts, the text. Every piece dated, every piece factual. Finn was at Wade's house. Nina was starting dinner. I set the folder on the kitchen table. What's that? She asked. Edition. Sit down, Nina. She sat. I walked her through the whole thing, no anger, no raised voice. The same tone I'd used to present drainage findings at a county planning review. Clear, measured, documented. March 4th, what she said. March 10th, what she asked. March 16th, what Donna told people. March 22nd, the text. Her face cycled through confusion, recognition, fear, then something I'd never seen on Nina before, raw, unfiltered panic. Owen, Donna was just trying to help me feel like I had some control over what was happening. She coached you through a manufactured abandonment claim, I stated, my voice level. Push me out of the bedroom. Rewrite the story for our friends. Build a file for court where I'm the one who left. I didn't want a divorce, she whispered. Then what did you want? Silence. Long enough for the kitchen faucet to drip. I wanted you to fight for me. Almost inaudible. You were supposed to get angry. Push back. Show me you still cared enough to not just say, okay. Don't touch me was supposed to be a test. You were supposed to fail it and come back anyway. There it was. The raw truth beneath all the coaching and performances. The belief that love demanded a fight even when pushed away. That persistence proved devotion. That don't touch me had only one right answer, and it wasn't compliance. That's not how I love, Nina, I told her. I love by listening. You said don't touch me. I listened. I didn't mean forever. You didn't say temporarily. You said it like it was final. And then you spent 4 weeks telling people I was the one who walked away. She broke. Not the careful tears from the night of the text, but real ones, messy with sound. Her shoulders folded inward, her hands pressed into her face. Donna said if I didn't take control, I'd end up like her, alone with nothing. Her voice was rough, small. I was scared. I'd been scared for months. And instead of just saying that to you, I let her convince me there was a smarter play, that I could control how this went. She looked up, mascara streaked, eyes red, a fear I hadn't seen before. And instead, I built exactly what she has, twice over, a folder full of documented lies, and an empty kitchen table. The silence that followed held a profound weight. Can we fix this? She asked. I don't know, I said. But this folder goes to my attorney tomorrow regardless, because I don't let anyone rewrite my story. Not even you. She nodded slowly, as if she understood, as if some part of her had known it was coming since she flipped the phone over and saw my face. Frank filed the petition the next morning. The hearing was quiet. He presented the notebook, 28 days, every entry in my handwriting. Wade's signed statement. The timeline. Nina's attorney tried to argue emotional distress. The judge read the March 22nd text, set the folder down, and looked at Nina for a long time without a word. Primary custody went to me. Weekends and Wednesdays for Nina. The house stayed with Finn, which meant it stayed with me. 28 days of entries in a pocket notebook. That's what it came down to. 3 months later, June in Topeka. I sat on the back porch. Finn ran through the sprinkler, laughing, the sound pure and bright, like the whole world was just water and sunlight. Nina picked him up on Fridays now. She was different, quieter. She'd stopped seeing Donna, or Donna had stopped calling. I genuinely didn't know which, and I didn't ask. A few weeks after the hearing, Finn found the notebook on the kitchen counter. He picked it up, looked at the cover. Dad, what's this? Just something I used to keep track of things, buddy. He flipped it open to a random page, squinted at the handwriting. It looks like work stuff. Yeah, kind of like that. He set it down and went back to his cereal. I put the notebook in the kitchen drawer. I hadn't opened it since. I didn't really need to anymore. Last Friday, Nina stood at the front door, waiting for Finn to grab his overnight bag. She looked at me for a second. "I'm sorry," she said. "Not about the lawyers or the house. About that Tuesday, for saying don't touch me when what I really meant was I didn't know how to let you in anymore. I think I hadn't known how in a long time." I nodded. I didn't tell her it was okay. It wasn't. But I heard her. Finn thundered down the stairs, backpack bouncing, and hugged me hard. "Bye, Dad. I'll bring the dinosaur pillow back Sunday." "Okay, buddy." I watched them pull out of the driveway, poured a glass of water, stood at the kitchen window for a minute, looking at the backyard, the sprinkler still going, the porch step where I'd sat so many cold nights with the notebook on my knee. Then I went out and sat on that step again. She said, "Don't touch me." So I didn't. Didn't touch the marriage either. And it turned out those two things, the hand on the shoulder and the whole 13 years behind it, were always the same thing. What does it mean to fight for a love that asks you to disappear?